Hey guys, good morning. Thanks for joining the session. Let me share my screen. So actually, every day we are discussing about the Django concepts to implement the healthcare insurance model, especially on the claims related one. So as part of this one, basically we are building the database models. Like initially we are done with the hospitals. So what are we are going to do right? Today we are going to debug in detail about what is uh, the model attributes, how the models can be used. Okay, what are the attributes we can create? All this information which we are going to see it today. Okay, which is really in-depth concept for the Django models. So we are going to understand in different way. Okay, the first thing is today we are going to create something like patients. This is a patient's model we are going to create, like patient ID, gender, date of birth, and name of the patient, address of the patient, any other details. And also we can going to create a relationship between the patients and hospitals. There is in between we have the clients, right? So this is something which we are going to create it maybe later, but we should understand what is the relationship. Is a one-to-one relationship or many-to-many relationships? Okay, but today we'll create separately this model, the patients, and we'll explore it. So before going to that, I want to show some information on the Django documentation, right? If you go to the Django documentation, there is the models, and every model we are going to import by using the django.tb.models.model, right? So for example, if I want to create a person model, see, look at here, and you have to create a class, whichever class you can say that. For example, if you want to create a patient class, we can say that class patient, the models.model, right? This is how we can give now, and you can give it the first name, last name, and we can work on it. This maybe, see, if we enter the models.char field, text field, there is a 30-40 fields is already there in the Django, so we can use whichever the field you use using it. So you want to use the boolean field, we have the boolean field, something like this. Okay, so whenever you write a model in Django, this model is automatically will be converted into the a table format. You can see here, actually you are given the two fields here, the first name and last name, but Django is converted into the this table with extra column name is called the ID. So as I told you earlier, Django basically creates uh, every time there is an ID. So this is a primary key. So this is going to be created, and there is a first name and last name. And so what will happen, right? You are writing in the char field with the max length is 30, but this is converted into the var of 30. So exactly ditto, like how this table is there, how this model is the same model will be converted into this one. This is how it works. And every time the table name is actually like your app name and your model name. So this is how is actually created, and that's how we are mentioning it, right? So comes to this, the fields. There are so many fields we have it in the Django, right? Not only the char field, we have the foreign key field, we have the date field, we have integer field, we have there are so many fields are there, and we are going to talk about those fields today. And for example, especially when it comes to the field options, so every field uses the something called null, true, and choices, right? What is the null basically? So if null is by default is false, and when you make the true, then Django stores the empty null values into the database columns. Okay, even there is a blank, even if you say true, this is the field is allowed to be a blank, and default is the false, right? So blank is the false, but when you say true means this field is allowed to be a blank. Okay, so this is only for the front end, the one which you can say that, but null is related to the database. When you say that by default it is a false. So note that different than the null. Null is purely database related one. The blank is the validation related one. validation in the sense from front end we can write it in null, right? So this is how we actually use the null and blank. Null is for the database and the blank is for the validation related one. So basically you do the validation storing purpose, basically null is. Okay, and also we have the choices. For example, if you want to write a choices, we can mention it here, but I'm going to create these things in shortly. You'll come to know. Definitely choices, we are going to create it now. And also there is another field is called the default field. The default means if you want to assign the default value to particular data. For example, see, one person is working on one company is the default the same company, right? So whatever you do in that organizations, we can assign the value default here by using the default. So elf text is like it is displayed on the widget, okay, to showcase to the user. Okay, so what you can go and do, enter the 6 digits for the password, some help text we will provide. Primary key, which is always true, and primary key is equal to true means, and this field should not be null and field should be unique, right? So primary key is equal to always not null plus and unique value, right? Something like that. So that is all about few of the things. And also there is autumn field. For example, you want to automatically increment the value of the field, okay, like for example sequence numbers 1 2 3 4 5 6, and that should be a primary key, then we can use the auto field, which is very important, guys. And the verbose field names, for example, you are given your first underscore name, right? This first underscore name, if you're not specifies this, there is a field name called verbose. Okay, if you go down here, there is a verbose name. Okay, this is an optional. Every field, all these fields like foreign key, many to many fields, one to one fields, these fields also will have this verbose field. But what is the verbose field, if you can ask me? So if you're not specified the verbose field, Django will be considered the field name itself. For example, in this case, is the first name is the field name. It will verbose name will be considered as the first name only. But when there is a blank, when there is an underscore is there, it will be actually taken as a first space name. But if you say verbose name is equal to something, then we can write it like what I can say. We can just write it into the single quotes. I mean, sorry, double quotes. Because what I mean to say that, okay, if you want to specify the a field name or column name, then we can go for this verbose name. And by default, verbose name, which is the first parameter for the all the fields except this foreign key, many to many fields, one to one fields. Okay, this is something important, guys. Okay, and also there is a multiple relationships we can build in this Django, but we'll have the separate session for this Django relationships. But we have like foreign key relationship we have seen in the last sessions, and now there is a many to one relationship, many to many relationship, and one to one relationship. So foreign key is actually many to one relationship, so we already covered that one. But these two relationships which I'm going to cover as part of our health insurance claims. So here also you can see this, there is a multiple relationships are there between the claims and hospitals patients, so which I'm going to cover in the session. Okay, and okay, coming to the point. Okay, so I'm going to create the the main the patient table, and we'll see that how it works basically, right? So let me try now. So I'll go back to this Visual Studio Code. Now I'm going to create what I can say that patient, right? So yeah, okay. So first, not this one. So we'll do now. I'm deactivating this current one. Okay. So now here cd space, I have to move to the folder name called the HIC. So here in this, I'm just going to write Python 3 manage.py and okay, manage.py. So I'm creating the new app, guys. When you are creating any app, so basically we will mention the app name here. So let me create app name here, start app. So app name is, for example, here the patient. Okay, so patient is the app name. So let me create a patient app. So let me put it into the lowercase letters. So patient. So I'm just entering this one. So now slowly, okay. So you now look at this, the patient is created here. So here, whenever you created any app, basically what we will do, right, we'll go to the URLs, sorry, we'll go to the settings.py, we'll register that patient here. So let me go to this, guys. Okay, we can register the any app you created. So I will create now the patient. Okay, so patient comma, right, we have now the base app, hospital and patient. So every time whenever you create an app, we have to register here. So now this patient app is registered, right? So what I will do, right, I will also go and create immediately I can go and create the urls.py also. So when you are creating the what I can say, whenever you are creating the any app, so we need to mention that one. Okay, so is it the URL spy is always first we need to create when we are creating the patient. So already I created this URL. So what we are doing it here, we are creating a new app name called patient. In a, that patient we actually registered and we created the urls.py. Okay, so first I will go to the models. I will create a table for this one. Okay, I'll create a patient table. So to create a patient table, so what we need to create, we need to create a model. Okay, so class patient. So any model which you create, that should be inherited from the this models.patient, right? So I am just giving this models.patient. Now what I will do now, the class patient and models.patient, so we can create different fields here. So first I'm going to create patient ID. So let me take this, the patient underscore ID, then models dot, and so basically this is an integer field. So we can mention it here, or else you can directly write auto field. Anything is fine, but I'm going to take it as an integer field, and you can just mention inside this the name is called like primary key. So I'm just going to give this is the primary key because every patient has its own ID. Okay. So after that, what will we are going to write patient name and other details. Okay. So one by one we are implementing here with all the details. So next one is the name. So okay, I'm just going to enter the name. Name is equal models dot, and this is the care field. So just remember, it's not only the cat field, there are so many fields are available here. So let me show you now. So cat field is there, integer field, and we have the auto field. So binary field, big integer field, big auto field, and there are so many fields we have it, guys. It's up to you, like so which field you are going to use it here. Okay, and so for example, if you want to use the boolean field, we can use the boolean field. If you want to use the something like float field, you can use float field and all. Like if you are defining any decimal values, the float field will come into the picture, right? Even image field is there, and also we have the file field. If you are uploading the any file, like any documentation or something, we can use the file field. So all like different types of the fields are there. But as is in this context, the name is the char field. So I'm just providing the char field. Remember, you need to provide here. So I'm just writing here. So max length is an attribute in the char field, which is mandatory. Is mandatory. Okay. So mandatory for char field. Okay. So I'm just writing it here. So whenever you are writing the this char field, so this is max length is one of the attribute which is mandatory for to create the char field in the table, basically, right? So well, let's see this. I'm not providing this one, so basically I have to do this max length and all, but I am not doing it because I will show you error. So how this comes. And next one is I'm going to create the person's age, which is an important. So age is equal to the models dot, which is always integer. So we can say it is a positive integer. Am I correct, guys? So this is the positive integer field, right? So because age is always positive, so we can say like this, right? And that is one thing. And also like we can keep the person's age is done. After that we are going with the uh, database. So date of birth basically. So date of birth. So date of birth is equal to the models dot, and it is actually like a date field. I'm just going to keep it here is the date field. Okay, you just mention it here. There is a date time field is also there. There is a date field. So we'll mention here date field only. Okay. Now moving to the mobile number. So we need a mobile number from the uh, user, the patient. So just mention here mobile number equal to the models dot, and you can write mobile number. I will take it as a character field because I need to validate it here. So I will mention here. See, as it said, max length is mandatory. We need to provide it, guys, for every character field. Then only it works. I'm just mentioning here max length field is like 10 characters only, right? We should not take more than this. Okay. So do you ask me the question? Is there any the minimum length here? There is no minimum length. Maximum length only can be allowed in this characters. Okay. And moving to the next one is the email field. For example, if you want to ask email from the user, so when you can use this models dot and email field. This email field is little important because nowadays everybody has the emails. So to send the reports. So when the customer wants, so we need to send the notifications to the patient saying that okay, this report is generated, I can get a copy. So that is the reason we are asking email ID from the user. And next one is the address. So we need to address patient address. The patient address is models dot, and this is the text field. I'm just going to enter here. Okay. So text field, I will just mention. And also we are going to ask that user gender. Okay, let me write here. So gender, so the models dot and gender here, I will create choices field. So that's where it works now. So let me take it as a char field. So inside that I will use the choices. So choices is equal to, then I'm creating I'll create one choices field. Let me go here and write here gender. So okay, gender underscore and choices, and you can open this one and you can create it. This is a list. So I'm just creating in this list. So what I'm creating, guys, I'm creating the information like tuple. So M is for the male, as simple as, okay, and we can say that F is for the female. So we can write here F is for the female. Okay, and last one is the, okay, if you want to specify the other, so we can specify the other. That is where like yeah, I'm writing the O. Okay, just write it here, and other. So this is a simple, like I want some drop down. Okay. So I'm just taking the, this newly created choice. This gender choices, I will actually assign to the, this choices field. This is one of the attribute, guys, for the care field. And I'm just mentioning this one is the gender choices here. This is an important one. And max length is the mandatory. So I'm just going to add here the max length is equal to, it's maximum like 10 characters, right? We can't go for the more than that. Okay. So this is a little we are creating about the patient related information, right? We have patient ID, name, age, gender, date of birth, mobile number, email ID, address. Now, what we can do, right? We need patient image also. So what I can say that it's a like image or profile image, because patient profile image we need. I'm going to write it here same way. Profile image is equal to the models dot, and it is an image field. So inside the image field, we can also create, we can mention the folder name. Okay, upload underscore 2 is equal to, so inside this we have already images folder. You can keep all the patients uh, photos or pics inside this images slash and patient. This is how it works. And also like if you want to specify the I think this is more than enough, but I will come back to this one. Okay. For example, if you want to divide this one, not the name, you want to make it as a first name and last name, yes, also we can do it. Okay, but generally we take the first name, right? So let me take it here as the first name, and this one. So sometimes, most of the times, we give the underscore for the field names. So same thing I'm doing it, guys. So let me take it as this one is also like last name, and we can keep the models dot and char field. So inside this, generally we need to mention the max length. If you're not mention the max length, you will get the compilation error. So I'm just mentioning the max length for the last name, but I'm not doing it for the first name because I need to show you the error. What is the error will comes basically. So this is like 30 characters. Okay. And this is what basically we created the patient. And also there is something called slug field. So already explained, right? Slug field is like URL purpose we use, and I'm creating your slug again. So models dot, and this is the slug field. So this is also we can give the maximum length, we can specify it. Okay, for example, 30 characters, right? So this is the patient details. We can also add more details, guys, but I am not going in depth. I mean, if you later in the future, we can add more fields here. Okay, so now I'm just done with this. What I can say, this model. Let me go and save this model. I need to do the something called make migrations and things. So I'm just going to save these files. Okay, so we are done now. So I'm going to run the make migrations here. So python minus.py, and we'll run the command called make migrations and enter. Okay. So let me see this if there is any error here, right? So you can see, guys, when I enter this one, let me show you this models. Okay. When I enter this one, it says that, hey man, you are trying to create a first name without the maximum length field. So which is the very mandatory, guys. Okay, that's what even I mentioned in this text. You look at your line number 13. So basically, like I missed out the max length intentionally to show you that what kind of error it comes. So what I can do now, I have to add this max length here, then it works. So remember, when you are writing any character field, max length is mandatory. Okay, so I'm just going to mention. So only the purpose to showcase to you like what is an error will comes. That is the reason I have written this one. But other rest of the places where I'm using the char field, already I filled this max length. Okay, so this is the way we can create. I mean, we need to look into the errors basically. So let me go and run again the make migrations. This time it is not giving any issues because we fixed the error. And the next time, so like after the make migrations, we need to run a command called the migrate. So before going to run, you can cross check here and whether the migration file is created or not. Like you can see when there is even any small update also, there is a migration file will be created. If I click this one, you can see all the details which I actually provided in the model file, which is there in the initial file. This is the one of the migration file. So we can have the n number of migrations files. It depends on the places basically, right? So depends on the places we can have it now. So what we can do now, I'm going to run this python 3 manage.py and migrate command, and we'll see this table is created. The patient table is created, right? If you want to check this one, go to the PG admin. Again, we can check this one. Okay. So meanwhile, let it be open. Okay. And we will check that one in shortly. So what we have done, right? We have created the fields. Okay. I want to go to the UI and show you some information here. Okay. Something which we are going to figure out now. So let me do now one thing. So go to now manage.py and space. Okay, and run server. So we are going to directly to the project. So I'm just going to open the project here. So okay, you see this is what the page we created. First we are done with hospitals. Now we'll move into the patients. When I click the patients, nothing is happening, but before that we'll go to the first admin screen, and we'll see whether this data is there or not. So I'm going to this now admin screen, and there is no patients here, right? I mean, in the sense there is no patient app. There is only hospital app is there, and user authentication app is there. So I want to create a patient one. So what we can do, right, guys? We'll go to this admin.py and we need to import that model here. So what we can do now from dot and the models import and the name is called the patient, right? So this patient should be registered on the admin. So what we can do, right? Admin dot site dot and register. So in this register, we can add the patient again, right? So I'm adding the patient now. So once you add this line, this single line of code in the admin screen, the feature of the adding the models will be added into the admin screen itself. If I go and refresh this page, and you will see the patients here, right? We got now patients. So in the sense, what I mean to say that, so when you created the model, that model should be added in the admin screen. Once you added that data into the admin screen, automatically it should be populated into this screen. Okay. So for example, if I put this line number 6 is in the comment section, and if I go and refresh the page here and let it take time, so that patient will be gone. I mean to say that the app will be removed. So if you want to add an app, so then we can use this command called admin.site.register, then the app is added here. So again, I'm refreshing the page, this can be added. Now, if I go and click this patient and go and add patient details, you can see all the fields, whatever we have it, right? Now, I want to show you some important information here, guys. You look at here, the first name, last name, the patient ID. These are the three columns, okay? If you go to this, our model, already I given the underscore here, patient underscore ID, first underscore name, last underscore name. So there is an underscore in between, but the field is displaying in the admin screen is without underscore. Okay, so that is what we studied here. We can go back to these models and what they are talking about. So when you are going to be use the without verbose name, let me go and talk about that. Okay, so look at here, there is something called verbose name. Okay, so we are going to use, I think okay, anyway I will use it here. Anyway I will use it here. So basically what I mean to say that here the first name is there. For example, you want to give your own name here. Okay, so this is not the way. For example, I will say that the uh, patient first name. So you want to define your own name. So column name is as it is only for the displaying purpose. We can use this way. For example, I am defining this way, guys. Okay. So when I'm going to define this way, this is also the correct way. So let's go and do now. I'm going to reload this one. If I go and refresh this page, okay, what is this page? Going to refresh this page, you can see this patient first name is coming through. But if you look at the database, okay, that is a normal patient only. I mean, in the sense, normal first name. Let me go and show you. I'm going to the database here. Just enter the credentials. I'll go to this now databases. Just go to the something is called, what is the name of our database is insurance health, right? I'll open this insurance health, go to the schemas, go to the public, go to the tables, and go to the table which you created that is called patient one, right? So no need of opening. Okay, you can just expand this one, expand the columns, and you see there is something is called the first patient underscore ID, first underscore name, last. So the columns will be created with underscores because whatever the whatever the name you are given here, the patient underscore ID, first name, last name. But in the UI, if you want to display this some other name, okay, then we can use this first parameter should be with the tabular codes. This is something is called it as the verbose name. Okay, so this is something is called as the verbose name. So it's not only for this one, anything you can change it. It's not only for this column. I'm going to add it for the last column. So you can say this one. Okay, already. Okay, so I'm just going to add the patient. This is the last name. Okay, patients. Here also patients. And here the patient ID is there, right? You can keep it as like this, but still, if you want to, you can change it. But I don't want to be disturb this one. Let it keep the patient ID there only. And anywhere else we have this, for example, this mobile number. right? So this mobile number also I need to add here, right? So patient's phone number or mobile number, so we can add it. This is just like instruction to the user, like in the plain text. Okay, so now I'm going to refresh this page. So let me, okay, anything error here? Yeah, there is a little syntax error, which is that patient last name, there is a comma which is missing. I'm just adding it, again save it. Automatically server will get reloaded without any exceptions. That should be fine. So going back to the screen and refresh it. Now you can see patient's first name, patient's last name, and patient's mobile number, right? So we can customize the name. So this is something which is the first parameter. Hey Raja, can you please give this one is the second parameter when you are creating the model. Okay, so I will create into the second parameter this one. Now if I go and look at this, automatically it shows that this is an error, right? So when you are giving the verbose names, this is something is called as the verbose name. Verbose names are like a plain text. This should be always first parameter, but it is an optional. If you are not given this, and Django by default will take this field name only without space when there is underscore. Okay, this is something you just keep in your mind when you're working on the project, guys. This is a really useful one. Okay, so now, and also we spoke about something called null. Null is equal to true, and blank is equal to something called true. So these two fields by default is false, but we can also give these fields whenever you need it. Just for your information, null is for the database reference. For example, if you want to store the null values in the database, we can mention it as a true. By default it is a false. The blank is equal to true, which is actually like for the validation purpose. Okay, so when I say blank is equal to false, it is not going to be validated whether it is a blank or not, but only it is will be validated when you say it is a true. Okay, so this is something like this, guys. So when you mention these fields, because since this null is the which is related to the database field, we need to run the make migrations command here. For example, so when there is any changes with respect to the database, we need to run so make migrations. So but yeah, spelling is wrong here. So make migrations, spelling is wrong. Okay, so make migrations. You run the command. You can see the first name on the patient is got changed, and mobile number is changed. These are the fields is altered now, right? It's clearly giving the instructions to us. What are the changes you made, right? So this is really useful. And click on the migrate command. This will be run. You can also go and check these migrations. There is another file is created here. Whenever you run the migrations, guys, new file will be automatically will be created here. So we are already created the new file name called this one. So it is again saying that you altered the field name called the first name, and you added the verbose name. Again, you altered the patient last name, you added the verbose name. So you are not mentioned the verbose name is equal to that one, but by default it is considered here, right? So it is considered. Now we can easily think that, okay, if you want to specify this character field somewhere in the middle of your attributes, we can use the verbose name. This is the verbose name, right? This is a like keyword. Okay, but when you are specifying at the first position, we don't want. For example, if you want to specify this one verbose name is equal to, then we can specify. This is not an error. It's okay. This is not an error. If when you are specifying this one with this keyword, we can specify. Okay, but so always it is a first parameter. But generally, what I mean to say that if you want to specify the anywhere else, you have to use the keyword. Keyword name is called the verbose. Okay, so same thing we are seeing at even in the migrations update file. Because one more important thing, guys, don't delete these files. You will mess up with the so many issues, because these are the relationship between the tables. These are the scripts, Django scripts, or we can call it as a migration scripts. We never ever going to be deleted these files without understanding the structure of your database models, which is very important, right? Okay, now I'm going to run the project here again. So just use the command call python 3 -.py run server. I'm executing the project again. So let's go to this and refresh it here. Okay, you can see I am not getting any issue like first name, patient ID is there, but you can see this is something which is gone into the gray color, right? I think you are observing it. This field is gone into the gray color. What is the reason behind it? So if you go to this models.py, actually for the last name, I mentioned the null is equal to true and blank is equal to true. When you specify this one, this is a mandatory field, guys. Okay, so you have to enter this data. Of course, patient ID is also mandatory because of, as you mentioned, it is a primary key. Primary key should not be null. Okay, that is the basic, the nature of the primary key, right? And also it should be unique value. So what I'm going to do, right? I'm going to create some patient ID details here. Patient ID first name, for example, John. Okay, or we can create. Okay, we can create John Doe and slug. Okay, so this is automatically should be populated, but I am not defined here. So we can use just John only. The age is, for example, 45, and gender is, we can select here the male, and the date of birth, we can select, for example, we can select to today date or whichever the date is there. You can change this one to the, for example, 1989 or something like this. Mobile number is like 91234567890. So even when you are entering the data extra, it is not allowing you to do it because if you go to this code, I mentioned the mobile number should be maximum allowed 10 characters. You can look at here, right? So line number 22, I mentioned the maximum length is 10 characters. So that is a reason even I am trying to enter one more field, it is not allowing, right? So mobile number is always 10 characters, not more than that. So then email ID I am giving, for example, John, simple like this, but I'm not providing the complete email ID. Let's see this, is there any validation happens here? The address I'm giving this one is the Avenue Road, okay? And Breach Colony, okay, something like this. And for example, you can say the Bangalore, or we can say New York. We can put something like this because the guy is from the New York. Okay, so New York. Okay, and so finally we can say something like United States, USA. So that is enough. I'm going to upload some profiles here. Okay. I'll go to this documents. Already I have some folder here, patient. So I'm creating this Tom. So I'm just using this one. So because I'm going to save this one, you can see here. So you enter the email address is invalid, right? So it's giving an exception here, right? So it should be give the right data. So now I'm going to give the at gmail.com. Okay, even I'm not entering the gmail.com, I'll say save. So it's still saying that the email address is valid. So what I will do, right, I'm just going to enter again .com. So let's see this is now is created. So now, for example, what if I'm not entering the last name, which I'm putting is a blank. Now if I go and click on the save, what will happen, right? So okay, this is first, it is validating. Again, I'm going to add the Tom here because previous one is gone, because whenever it is refreshed. Now I'm going to click the save button. You can see, so it is going to trying to save the data, but unfortunately it is not saved into the database. The reason behind this, guys, we are getting an exception because last name is the mandatory. It should not be null. See, I'm trying to insert this null data into my database. So all the data is filled, but last name is violating the constraint issue, right? Because this is where like we can say that, okay, this integrity error. So what is the integrity error? We already put the constraint, it should not be null, but we are trying to send null data, right? So all is fine, but the last name which is actually throwing it. So these kind of issues you may encounter when you're developing applications. So that is the reason I am actually going and saying it. Okay, so we need to enter the name here, something like whatever the value which is you refer to. Just click the save button. Now this is got saved, right? Perfectly. So even you can go back to the database and you can check this patient underscore patient table and click on the all the rows. You can see that the patient row which is created. You can see the John Doe and this date of birth and mobile number and address and the profile image where it got saved. Okay, all this information which we got. So generally we don't store the images into the database. We store only the path. We store images actually into the server folder. So if you look at this in this media, and in this media there is an images. In the images there is a patient. In the patient we actually inserted the Tom, right? But we have done with the 3 times, so that's the reason 3 images are there, because reference will be varied actually. Okay, you inserted the Tom in the 3 times, so that is the reason 3 images are there. But actually in the database, if you go to the database, okay, I'm just going to show you that one in the database which path is actually taken up. Go to this one, you see it is taking up the Tom underscore vr9z 732.jpg. This is what I'm talking about. So if you can also look into it here in this patient, sorry, yeah, so where is that? Yeah, this one, this image is actually stored into the database. That's what I want to say that. Okay, so that is about storing the information, but I want to display that information in the UI. So we already know that it's easy to display it in the UI. So but before that I want to create it, guys. I want to go and create some more data. So what I will do, right? Yeah, one more problem here. It is showing the patient object 1234. I don't want to show like this. I want to show the name of the patient. So you can just go to this Visual Studio Code, and especially to the models.py, you can write here some extra thing like, okay, so you can just write here def. Can I write like this? We need to override the string method. So this is already spoken in previous session also. I'm just mentioning it again here. So return, and this is a instance method, right? So instance method is always having the first parameter. So that is where is the self is there. This is a class. Class contains the variables. These are the variables, which is a Django variables. Okay, and we can say model variables which we are creating for the database. And here again, here I mentioned the method. So if you think like in the previous one session I took, right, oops concepts. Okay, in the oops also I mentioned that there is a class, and we can extend the any class here. That's something called the inheritance. And here we have the lot of fields. Okay, we can add it. These are nothing but the class variables, and here we can define the something like a function which is an instance method. But currently I'm overridden the instance method of the string, as you are seeing that in the, okay, just 1 second. As you are seeing here, this patient object is 1234 is displaying it. I don't want to display like this. I want to display the name. So I will mention this one. So this name is not there here. I will take the first name. So I will give the first name here, because whenever you created the data for the patient, that it should be display the patient first name. So I'm going to refresh the page here. Then you can see this is a John patient, right? Or else if you want to display the complete patient information, you can write here self dot and the last name. So this is going to be display the complete information, because basically you are returning the both the self dot first name and last name. You just go to and refresh the page. Now John Doe is displaying it. Even if you want to give a space, just you can give the space. I think you are well known about this, and how to give the space. Okay, and just you can go to this one, you just refresh it. Okay, and you can see there is a space here. Okay, that's how we are defining the patient name. So we are returning this one. So this is actually overriding the object into the a string readable format, guys. Nothing much is happening here. Okay, now what I will do, right, guys, I'm going to create basically like I'm going to create what I can say that HTML pages. So what I will do, right, we'll go to the base app, and I'm going to create new folder name called the patients. All the patients HTMLs I will keep here. So patient, right? So but not in the base app. Sorry, that's my bad. So let me do it. Okay, I'll create into templates. So yeah. See here, I will create a patient. Okay, so you can enter the patient here. In this patient, I will create patient.html. So this is, I can say, all patients information, all underscore patient dot html. This is what I'm mentioning here. This HTML I will give it to in the patient views. Now let me go to this views. I want to get all the patient's information again. So it's a very simple again. Same thing I am doing it what we are done for the hospital, but little extra fields I added, but also functionality little different. I'm going to do it in shortly, maybe tomorrow sometime. But let's try to finish this the page, the patient page now. So I need to write a view here, function view, to get all the patient's information. So get get all patients. Okay, and the first parameter is always request, guys. So request for the views, and here like all patients. So okay, so all patients is equal to, so we need to first to download the model here. I mean import dot models and import, then there is a patient here. So let me put the patient. So patient, and I am writing here the patient dot and objects dot and all. This is nothing but select query, right? We need some select query here, so that's where this is important. And we need to return this data. So for this one we can just keep into the one dictionary. So context is equal to, this is a dictionary just for the purpose of sending this information to the HTML page. So I will put it as a key, and you can write it as like all patients here. I want to return this data to the HTML page. I will use the return render function and the request objects, then HTML page. So already I created the HTML page here. So I will copy this HTML page. So I will keep the same thing. Okay. So just give me, and you can see in the views, I will add this HTML page. But interesting note is that this HTML page is there present in the not in directly in the templates folder, which is present in the patient folder. So I will use the patient here. Okay, what I mean to say that this HTML is not directly into the templates, because I created separate folder to keep all the patient related HTMLs. So that is the reason a request comma patient slash and all patient. Okay, dot HTML. Finally, to this patient, I need to send this context. It is a dictionary because I need to use this key. This key contains all the patient's information from the database. So that is the reason I am using it now. Okay, and go to now. So you take this, for example, hospitals, we displayed it here. Just copy this page and go to the all patients here. Just okay, you mention it here, and there is a block here. So this block till the block, whatever it is there, I'm just going to what I can say that what I'm going to do, right? I'm going to delete it. Okay, so rest of all is same. This is the title is insurance patient data. So this is the title of the page which I am mentioning it here. Okay, this is all we do. Yesterday we spoke about, right, import the base.html, that is the header tag, and also we have now the div class here, the container, the content, and end block. So I will go to the bootstrap now. I'll get this some alignment of the data. So you can go to the bootstrap, and we can say that bootstrap card, just type here, you'll get the cards. This is like just one of the purpose we can use. So how you want to display the customer information here, how you want to display the any way which you want to here. For example, I want to display this one. You can take this, or else you want some image based one, you just go to here. Like better I will take this image based one. Okay, so this is the image based one, so you can take here and you can also display here. So let me take this, the first one only, and later we can change it. Okay, so I'm just going to here mentioning this. So let it be with also, but later we can change it. Now what we can do, right, this is the content. Okay, so block content is fine. So what we can do, right, we have the key, right? So there is a key which we are sending from this key I will use it now, so to actually get the data. So let me go to this directly all patient HTMLs here. Okay, I will write now. Okay, so what I will write, right, so curl braces, percentile, anything like if you want to write Python code, we can use this one, percentile. So for I, okay, or like we can say that each patient. So this is where like in this patient, all patient information is there in this key. Basically, this key we are sending from the views.py. This key is actually holding all this model data. This is actually like select, already mentioned some time back. So select star from the patient table. This is the all the data which we can get through it. Okay. Now what we can go to this all patient.html. This, but I need to close the for loop before it. So let me close this for loop. Then we can start exploring it. Okay. So end for. So look at this, guys. This is whole thing is which is for loop only. So what I mean to say that this whole thing is the for loop. Here we are looping the patient information with this key. Of course, this is iteration variable. So first, I want to display the patient name, first name, last name, or like patient ID. Let's take the patient ID. So any variable, if you want to write Django variables, we can write here the curly braces and we can define it here. Okay, each patient dot. So basically, this we have to give the model values here. The first one is the patient ID. We have to give the same name of the column. Okay, same name of the column. So you have to give this one, right? This we need to give. So I've given the each patient ID. So this is done. So similarly, I have to use the something about here. Okay. So patient first name, last name also I'm going to provide here. So let me delete it this. Just you can just put this one. The first one is the patient ID is there here. I have to give the first name, last name. So the, what is the column name here is the first underscore name. You just go to here and give this first name, and you can also give the another variable name called the like last name. So you can just take this entire thing and keep it here. So what will happen, right, when you write like this, second name also will be added. So we are displaying the full name. Basically this is the full name we are displaying on the UI. So before going to display the images and all, what I'm going to do, right, let me show you this page in the UI. To show this page, first we need to do one thing, guys. We have to go to this patient.urls. In this urls there is nothing is there. Okay, I need to add the urls. So since we already done some urls in the hospital dot urls, right? So even in the patient dot urls I'm going to add same thing. So this time is not the hospital data. This time I will remove all these things. So let me tell you, this time I'm going to write a path. This is for the patient's information. So this is for the all patients. Okay, all patients are like patients, whatever the name we can give. This is the url path. Then the views, this views dot, then we can call the name of the views. So if you go to this we created the one view right here. Let me go to this. We created the view name called the get all patients. So I will go to this urls and I'll mention this name. This is the get all patients. Okay, and after this, see, if you want to go and access this one, you can just click this one. Get all patients can be shown. So basically this in urls.py we are using the path and this get all parents, sorry, all patients, and I'm giving the name of this one. So name is like any name you can give. It is a patients. This name is nothing but accessing the URL name. This is the URL name. This is the URL path, and in between this one is the a function call or view call, because this view is contains all the data, right? So you remember the diagram, right? So we already spoke. I'm speaking that one in every day. If you look at this, okay, let me go to this. This is the diagram, guys. We need main URLs. From the main URLs, we'll go to the any app URL. From the app URL, we'll go to the views and models. This diagram always keep in your mind, okay? Because this is the flow which is actually works in the Django entire project. When you build big project, small project, whatever it is, this is the flow. There is a main app URL. From the main app URL, we'll go to the different apps URLs. From there, we'll navigate to the views. So what I'm gonna say that, let's go to now. So this path, all patients, view all parents and all there. But this urls.py, which is there in the patient, but I need to include this one into the main app URL. So we'll go to this urls.py. This you can include this main app urls.py. So what I'm going to say this one, guys. So you just add this another comment, okay? The path, and you can mention here and patient, okay? And slash. So here I'm mentioning all the patient's information. and including the URLs. So basically we are including the URL. Just follow the same what we have done for the previous one. So what is the app name we are using for the patient? It's the patient only. You can look at this. So here I'm creating the, okay, this is the patient is the app name. Same name I'm going to provide it here. So for example, you can see here, the patient, it's a small letter only. It's a folder name basically. Okay, spelling is wrong. The patient dot URLs. We are already having the URL. So what we are telling to the Django, hey, I'm writing here the patient's dot URLs. So this patient is actually a separate what I can say folder. In that we have the URLs. You can go to this urls.py and pick this all patients URL. From there we can navigate to the get all patients. So like that we can navigate and get this information, guys. Okay, same thing what we have done for the hospitals. Okay, now this is, I'm going to save this file, all files we need to save here. I'm not saved much here. So let me save. This patients is very important because when you're navigating to the any file. So let me go and do now in the base.html. So here I will provide this patients, this URL name. So you can go to this percentile, and I need to specify the URL name here. So URL, and you can specify the name here. This is how the patients will be there. So we are adding, so same way what we are done for the hospitals, same thing we are doing for the patients. Now patients is also get added. So what we can go now, I'll go back to the our page. Okay, so what is the insurance? Okay, this is the one. So click on the our page. This is our page now. So here I'm going to click the patient, guys. So you can see there is a data coming through here. There is a 1234 John. So we are able to print this one, right? Okay, we are able to print the data of this, but the last name is not coming through. Let's go and see what is an error, because I've given the second name. We are not having the column name called the second name. It is a last name. So now you can go and refresh the page. You can see John Doe. So you want to display the image here. It's very simple, guys. We can go to this src. There is no any image. You have to provide the path here. So we can say this percentile and percentile, and we can mention. So even we have done in this hospitals, right? If you go to this hospitals.html, we already displayed the image like this. So two curly braces and just the name of the image dot URL. Same way what I'm going to do here. Okay, not this. It is two curly braces. So two curly braces. And what is this? The variable which is iterating is, this is the iterating variable. What is the model? What is the name of the basically what is the name of the profile image, right? The field name is the profile image. This profile image is there. Okay, you have to mention this profile image dot URL. Okay, so this is how we need to mention this one. Let me go and refresh the page here. So you can see the patient photo has come now. Okay, this is a pic. So, but we need to mention some little title here. So say that H3, and we can mention the name called is the patient, right? Okay, say that the patient records. Okay, so the patient record. So this is the one, right? So patient record. So just go and refresh the page. You can see this patient record. Even if you want something like the margin should be a little bit up, so you can give this. So okay, so I'm just going to give this the empty of 4. So I'll give the margin a little bit more. You can see this is the patient information, right? So now this other informations also I want to change it here. This is there is other information. I don't want to keep it those things. Let's go with this age, gender, and date of birth. So let me print this age and date of birth here. So go to this all patients and you mention this one, okay? So say that, okay, and this one, date of birth and each patient, which is there, like we can mention this one, each patient dot date of birth, right? And also like date of birth is done, you need to mention the something like gender. So you can mention the gender also, right? So also like if you want to mention the, because like all the fields I am adding it as simple as like add me this each patient dot. So what else is there in the patient, guys? We have the email ID and address. So let me add all these things. So email is done. I want to add the address. So if we go to this one, this div tag is not required in our case. I'm just deleting it. Okay. So if you want to add email, it is done. I want to add the address here, last one. So you can just add the address, something like this, because this name should match with again the model name, because repeatedly I'm saying, otherwise you will face an issues. So now you'll go to the refresh the page. Okay, you can see this is the one data basically. So you want to specify the what is this information to the user. It's very simple, guys. You can write here the, okay, this is the DOB, and you can mention here this is the gender. Okay, we can mention here, and this is something like email. I mean, it's normal text you can write in the HTML page, right? So that is what I am doing it here. Address, this is done. This is the patient ID. So we can say that the patient ID, you can mention here, this is the patient full name. Okay, I'm just mentioning that patient full name also. So now we can go to the site and you can see the patient ID, this one, but this is not really looks good, but we can make it very good little later. Okay, for time being, we can use this one for the reference. Okay, so how to bring this data from the UI to this one. So I will add one more record, then we'll finish it off. So we'll show you that if I add one more record, how it is, right? So this is how we are displaying the patient's record. So if I go to this again, health insurance, okay, sorry, go to the admin screen, guys. So okay, what is this? Okay, I will go to this. I will use this one. I'll go to now admin screen here, // admin. So enter the admin, go to the patients. I'm adding one more patient here just to make sure that this is a 222, and patient name is this time is Angela. Okay, Angela. Okay, full name I don't know. Angelina Jolie. So the spelling is little wrong, but it's okay. And the slug is Angelina. Okay, and the age, for example, we can say that for 45, gender is the female, and date of birth I'm just mentioning here. For example, you can write anything, just I will change this one to the 1987 or 1976 or something I will provide. So patient mobile number is 7890 like that we can mention here. Angelina, right, at gmail.com. I'm just adding it here. So we can say it is a California. So we can write here some details here, and USA, and we can write 12345, something like this. And we can add the profile image in this case. So what I'm going to do, right, I'm going to add the profile image. That's Angelina Jolie. So I'm just adding it here. They click on the save button. This Angelina Jolie is got added here, right? Now if I go and refresh my application, so let me go and open this one. So in the new cards, just go to here, click on the patients. You can see all the patients, you are seeing it. But you think like, hey Raja, I want to display this patient information in the right side, but alignment we can do it in maybe in the next session, right? If you keep on adding these image, you can add it like this, guys. Okay, if you want to add this record at the right side, we need to do some extra HTML coding, then can be displayed, but we can add all the patient's information like this. Okay, so we are going to experience a lot. Okay, maybe tomorrow. So I'm going to tell you a lot of things about the models. We'll go in deeper dive into the how to create so many URLs and validations. Okay, so tomorrow is the relationship between the models. We are going to experience it. Okay. So thank you so much for joining the session today, and we'll connect tomorrow, understanding the much more better on this. Okay. Thank you.